What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and today I'm going to do a video on how to aim in CSGO. Now I've done videos on this on literally every other game, but it was pretty popular. I did one video on my other channel which was quite popular on how to aim, but I want to kind of do an updated guide, and I kind of want to do a video on this channel about it. So I'm going to be giving you a few tips on CSGO on how to aim. This is mainly for beginners, because if you look at my rank, I am only Master Guardian 2, so obviously for anyone who's MG2 and below, this might be helpful for, but for any of you people who are serious and have a few thousand hours, click off the video, because obviously I don't want any bad comments for people who are obviously already good at the game. But we're going to jump into some tips. So the first one's actually Crosshair. Now you can get some certain maps off the workshop. There is actually a map which I'll link below in the description, which is called Crosshair Generator. Now we're just going to jump into that map just for the purpose of this tutorial, because this is the first step. And basically what this map does is it allows you to generate a crosshair. Now there's a few different methods we can do this, which I'll show you after, but basically the Crosshair Generator map is actually good because you can actually pick from a few different pro crosshairs which are already out there, and you can also generate your own in the map, so it can actually be really useful. I personally use some of the pro crosshairs, but I'm going to run you through generating your own and also using the other ones. Now you can also do this in an auto exec file, and you can also change your crosshair via the main menu settings, which I wouldn't recommend doing because it's not as customizable. And you can also use the console. If you know how to use console commands, you can also edit your crosshair through there. Now I'm not going to be showing you how to do that from scratch, but I am going to be showing you how you can use different websites to generate a crosshair and then paste it into the console to actually work in game. So first we're going to use this map because this is the most noob friendly, and a lot of people will find this really simple to use. So as you can see here, we're just going to jump into the CT side, and we're just on this aim training map right here. So as you can see, we are in the Crosshair Generator. So what we want to do now is we want to actually go through the manual process of creating a crosshair. So we're going to dive straight into the process. So you can see here we have different styles, so we can click on this and it'll click on normal default styles. This is just going to give us the main styles from what you get if you were just doing it in the main menu. So this is the normal static, classic dynamic, but on top of this you can also further customize each crosshair. When you click on a certain style, it will let you further customize it. So as you can see here, it's going to let me customize this. We can select the color, which is really nice. I'd recommend going with either red or green, but I think the classic green's good. And then you can even change the thickness. So obviously you just keep clicking this and it will actually make it more thick. So when you click on size at the start, you can shoot these modifiers here and it will make the crosshair bigger. Now I personally like a smaller crosshair, so I'm just going to go really tiny on it. Just going to make it a lot smaller because I prefer a small crosshair. I think my actual crosshair is kind of tiny. Then you can change the thickness, so we can make the thickness of the crosshair like really large, but it can still be quite tiny. You could also turn the size up if you want it to be a little bit bigger, or you could obviously make it really small. Now you can kind of modify this to how you like, and it's a really nice setting, but I'm just showing you for the purpose of the tutorial. Then the gap is quite interesting because you can make the gap in between the middle and then the side bits of the crosshair bigger or smaller. So you can make it a really tight crosshair like this. As you can see, the crosshair is super tight now, but the only thing is you can't actually see anything in between it, so it'd be hard to get headshots. We can change the outline, we can turn the outline on or off. This basically adds the kind of black lines around the crosshair to make it more visible, but you don't really need those. So you can turn that off or on. I prefer to keep it on because it makes your crosshair more distinct when you're on a map, especially when the colors are a little bit different on each map. And then you can kind of make it into a T shape. This is pretty self-explanatory. You can turn this on or off. You can add the dot in the middle or turn it off depending on what you want. And then you can change the alpha, which makes it even more visible or less visible. So obviously on 0 alpha you can't see the crosshair, on 255 it's full opacity. Right, so I've showed you how to kind of make that crosshair. It will automatically save, just so you know. So basically when you leave the map, the crosshair should be saved. Now we can toggle the HUD as well on this map if you want to take like screenshots or something, so that's kind of another nice feature on this map, but that's not really relevant to what we're doing. And you can change obviously the map skins and stuff, just make it look kind of cooler. Now what we want to do is we want to move on to this. So you can share your crosshair. So what that'll do is it'll sync it, as you can see here. It'll paste the crosshair to the console. Now if you haven't enabled the console, you want to click on escape, you want to go to settings, and you want to go to game settings, and enable developer console should be set to 1. You can save each crosshair here to load them, which is also kind of nice. Next up is literally the only other feature you can do in this map. After you've made your own crosshair, maybe you're having a hard time with that, or you want to copy your favorite players, well, you can do that as well, because it literally has the crosshair for every single pro player here. Don't know how they've done it. I guess they've either copied them off the internet or done them by themselves manually, which is pretty awesome. Must have taken a long time to make this map. So for an example, if you wanted Flushers, you could copy his crosshair, or Olaf Meister. I know those guys are pretty big players. If you wanted to get a crosshair, we could use this one by this guy called Tea with Milk and Sugar. And then we can actually go into this area of the map, and it will actually spawn bots. Then what we can do with these bots is we can actually obviously shoot them and practice our aim. So on top of actually being a map where we can change our crosshair, this is obviously a map where we can practice our aim as well, which is kind of nice. So you can kind of use this to practice your aim. It's kind of nice. You don't really need any other maps. You could literally just use this for your crosshair and use it to practice aim. So it's kind of a bit of both. It's kind of the best of both worlds, if you like, which is kind of nice. And you can just use this to warm up before games. So when actually aiming, we're going to jump into some actual aim tips on their own. You want to keep your crosshair placement around the area where someone would actually have the head. So that means when you're creeping around corners, your marker's always on where the head would be. So you can obviously pre-aim at the head, and when they come around the corner, most of the time you're always going to hit your head, which is around this level here. So once you've aligned one head, you kind of want to just keep it at that level. Obviously hitting heads is harder. It's a lot easier to spray and hit body shots, but they will be insta kill shots. The head height is basically just the center of the screen, so if your crosshairs on the screen center, you can keep it on head height. Another way to do this, for an example, is if you put a little sticker in the middle of your screen. Now some people could say this is cheating, but obviously it's not actually a proper cheat. So you could put a little cross in the center of your screen. You could use that for a sniper no scope, or you could use it to mark where the middle of the screen is. Obviously this is allowed because you're not using any external software, you're just using like a visual enhancement as a sticker on your screen. A lot of people do that. I don't personally do it, but it could be a good way to actually find the center of your screen and also to hit those nice snipe shots as well. You can actually practice in a lot of different methods. So if you want to practice your aim, you could practice in deathmatch mode, for an example. Practice in aim maps, you could practice in this map. So the next map I'm going to be showing you is a different map to the crosshair one, and we're going to jump straight into it. So if we click play here, we can go into the workshop side of things, and there's a map here called Aimbot's Training Mode. Now obviously you're not using an aimbot, that's just the name of the map, but basically what this map is it lets you practice your aim. It's going to be versus bots as well, just like the crosshair map we just trialed out. Basically on this map you train versus bots. So these bots spawn, you can make the bots move different directions, you can make them jump, you can make cover and objects in front or behind the bots, so you can kind of practice your aim in it in different scenarios. There's a lot of customizability to this map, and you can select from every single weapon. Now we're going to use the AK at the start just for obviously practice reasons, but for an example, you could use this on any other map. Okay, so we're now in the Aimbot's training mode. Now, the great thing about this training mode is there's so many things which you can do in it. So you can practice your one-taps, for an example. Obviously, the bots don't move at the start, so you can easily just practice headshots, which is kind of nice, as you can see. At first, you'll obviously find it a lot harder to hit them. Then you can practice your spraying as well. So you could practice the AK spray. Obviously each weapon has a different spray pattern, so you could practice that. Only shoot in bursts though, because obviously when you spray the weapon becomes ever more inaccurate. So you want to shoot in bursts obviously, as you can see, or go for one taps like that. Now I'm not Global Elite, I'm only Master Guardian, so my aim only has, you know, a certain limit to it. This training mode is really nice though. You can pick between every single weapon, so if we wanted to use an M4, we could also use an M4. The M4 is a little bit tighter recoil, we can kind of spray with that a little bit more easier, so we can use an M4. Now there's a few things we can customize. I want to just jump straight into it. So as you can see, you can have a time challenge as well. Now I'm not really sure how these specifically work, but you can have like a time challenge as well, which is kind of nice. So we can just work on some of those headshots. And you can select different themes to the map. Grayscale makes it look more simple, but now we want to jump onto this more complicated stuff. So on this stage you can click on peek spray walls, so you can do this to kind of peek in between walls and practice what it'd be like on a normal map. So we can kind of peek the enemies like this, or you can use it to shoot enemies through it, like so, as long as you know the enemy's position. relative to it. You can shoot them through the objects, which is kind of nice. You can just practice and simulate normal games. Then you can turn on boxes as well. So what will happen is these set of boxes come up, and this is actually a really good idea because you can practice your aim, and also after doing this for a while, it gives you a really good indication of the head height of enemies. So like we said before about crosshair placement, you want to always place it in an area where the enemy's heads are going to be. So you can use this to practice your headshots, obviously practice the 1 and 2 taps. Obviously with an M4 you can only get like 2 or 3 taps, but you can practice how many bullets you need to tap to actually headshot someone. You can practice your spray, which obviously from a range is not so accurate. This is basically the only fundamentals this serve is obviously if you're on a map like Dust 2, you're going to have a lot of camping people like snipers, and the heads are only going to be peaked a certain amount. So using this map, you can kind of just practice shooting people's heads, because heads are really small and they're so hard to hit. But if you use a lot of simulation like this to practice it, it makes it a lot easier when you actually come to a normal game. So yeah, that's basically the boxes I want to show you, which is quite nice. Obviously if you're using the AK, you can just one tap people behind the boxes as well. It's pretty cool. So we'll jump on to the next area. So not only do we have boxes, we also have crates as well as boxes, and crates are the slightly smaller ones. As you can see, if we spray from a long range, even with a perfect spray, it's going to be hard to hit a headshot, as you can see. Even with infinite ammo, if you continuously keep spraying, you're not going to hit anything. So you want to spray for like 1 to 3 seconds, around 1 to 2 seconds, so you can actually hit the shots, because otherwise it'll go way too inaccurate. That's crates. There's a lot more things we can do as well. We can put it on long range, for an example. So obviously the boxes, the wall comes down, and this means that enemies can actually spawn at long range as well, and it will spawn things like chickens, which is kind of a gag. So sometimes if you kill the enemies, as you can see now, they're spawning on the longer range part. There's only a limit to how many bots you can have, so you kind of need to kill a lot of the bots first, and then once you do kill them, they will start to spawn at this long range place. And obviously this is nice just to practice how your aim is at range as well. Now this crosshair I'm using is pretty good. I would recommend it. It's just a simple dot. It's actually a lot better than the cross, and I use one of these types of crosshairs when I'm playing on H1Z1 as well. You can also put on uneven ground, so what this will do is it'll kind of change the terrain a little bit, which is kind of nice. Now it's kind of hard to notice, not really sure if it's put into impact right now, but the next part is a moving target. Now this will make it kind of hard to hit, but it'll make a ding sound every time you hit, so you can kind of just strafe and move with the target, or you can stand still. It's going to be super hard to hit it if you're on the low sensitivity. As you can see, I am hitting it quite a few times, but the lower sensitivity you're on, the harder that target is to hit. Then sound practice is another one, and with sound practice this is the same as the moving target. It'll basically spawn a target around the map, and you need to be quick. You need to find where the target's placed. It'll make a sound, so obviously this practices your hearing, because the sound will indicate which direction it's at, and then you want to obviously hit the target. So there's a lot of little mini games in here. You can turn up the speed, and you can basically just make the speed of enemies quicker. So as you can see, these enemies are moving quicker, and they're also crouching. So if we turn the speed right up, they're going to move really quickly, they're going to crouch and jump, and it's going to be a lot harder to hit them. As you can see, this enemy is just going at a ridiculous speed. Enemies aren't going to go this quick in a normal game, so you don't need to go this far. But for example, if someone's bunny hopping, they could go a lot quicker of a speed, so it's good to kind of emulate that. So you can turn off Kevlars and helmets. So for example, you can just practice your aim without a helmet or Kevlar, and bots will always be a one shot to the head. But when you turn on Kevlar and helmet, you can kind of put it up to a different level. So some bots will spawn with full body armor like this, which is also pretty interesting. And these are kind of like the ones you get off like the missions and custom maps. When they had the challenge coin in the missions, there was a lot of enemies that had this full range of body armor. That's basically what it does. You can turn on or off infinite ammo, turn off bullet holes, and also show impact. So when you shoot someone, it'll show the little box there where you hit them on the hitbox. So it kind of helps you to see where the spray is going, as you can see. So when you spray a weapon, it will show you the full spray pattern if you turn on the impact. So this is how people kind of see what the full spray pattern is. If you use an AK, what it should be is like a question mark. As you can see, it goes up like a question mark like that. So this is a great way to practice the spray patterns. So obviously then you can pull it down to the right area and make sure you're hitting your shots, which is kind of nice. And that's basically all this map has to offer. The only other tips I can give you is kind of pre-aim at certain spots which you think the enemies would be at. That's about it. So I would recommend using these crosshairs and recommend these settings that I've given you. And I'd recommend trying out these maps. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to change your crosshair on the console. So I'm going to switch to this website just to show you quickly. As you can see here, this is going to be another link in the description below. I'm on a website called DatHost, which has a CSGO Crosshair Generator. Now what you can do is you can actually have this crosshair move around the map. You just click left click to stop it, and you can have it move around the map. This is good because you can test how your crosshair actually looks depending on the colours of the map that it's focused on. Now you can change it to default and classic, dynamic, all of that stuff, and it'll show you kind of like an animation preview of how it'll be. So this is kind of a nice thing to do. As you can see, you can change the size of everything, you can change the colours. You can basically customize this nearly as much as you can on the customizer map itself. You can put a dot in the middle, you can change the opacities, you can put keybinds on, so you can bind a different crosshair to a different keybind, and you can create an auto exec. Not going to be showing you how to do that though, because I'm not really sure. And then after, it will automatically generate to this box here. So you want to right click and click copy, and then when you jump into game, as you can see, you can just paste it in the console. Now you can see I've got the red dot here. If I paste it in the console, it will use the crosshair which we actually got off the generator, and then we'll have that crosshair as well. So really nice stuff, guys. Just wanted to show you a few tips on how to improve on CSGO by practicing your aim. So all the maps will be in the description. All of these tips should be pretty easy to learn. We'll just go over the tips again. Always have your crosshair on the right height in the center of the screen to practice hitting heads. Use the maps. Practice all the recoil spray pans, and obviously don't spray too much, and learn each weapon. And using these different methods, you'll get better with muscle memory and time and practice. So make sure to like this video if it was helpful, and comment below if I missed anything. Instead of leaving hate on the video, I want to see the tips which I missed, because obviously I want to make this video better and I want it to help people more. So drop them below if you know about anything I've missed. There's also a comment below how to enter this month's giveaway, so make sure to click on that link and subscribe so I know that you enjoyed the video and so I can do more CSGO tutorials. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Let me begin. I came to win. Battle me, that's a sin. I won't tell attacker. Punk, you better back